So this is my vlog number 96, and what I have several ideas what I can talk about. Like, I can talk about my new plans on English, on learning English in general. I can retell, at least I can try to retell one story about the beta testers. I can read aloud my poem about the demon that I finally finished. I wrote it, I almost wrote it, well, I wrote most of it in the 10th, on the 10th of February, over the 10th of November, and I had several ideas about how to finish it. And it took me almost 3 months to get the inspiration and to finish it and to get the ending, which is original even for me. I didn't think about this ending. I had a couple of endings, but they were flawed. They had problems of the consistency with the whole story. So in the end, I kind of waited for the inspiration, and it came, and finally I resolved all the stuff. So now I'm going to read this poem aloud from the beginning to the end. I didn't perform this practice for a long time, so just let's go. He strode among the woods 3 days. There was no doubt he's gone astray. He could not get out of the maze of aspens, alders, firs. The day was moving slowly to the evening. He thought how he would spend the night, when suddenly he heard the singing. Some woman's voice sang to his right. The forest edge was to his left. The sunset almost made him blind. Before the sun went to its bed, he'd left this forest far behind. But then he heard the same sweet voice, turned confidently to the right. She didn't left him any choice. He looked forward a pleasant night. Hey you there, he addressed the girl who got the water from the well. She was as perfect as a pearl. Her voice was like a ringing bell. Where do you live? He asked at once. A mile from here, she pointed west. Be quiet now. This is my chance to show you what I can do best. The fact is, he was a maniac type, a rapist who assaulted women. His hobby made him feel alive. Some people thought he was a demon. This time they almost had him caught right at the spot of his last rape, but he uncovered their wise plot, got to the woods, and then escaped. That's why he strolled around this place and found the woman near the well. I really like your pretty face, and I enjoy your fragrant smell. He said to her and grabbed her tight. She said, I want to warn you first. It's almost evening, and the night will activate my ancient curse. I'll turn into a vicious demon. He'll torture you and kill you dead. Then we'll both have a disagreement, 'cause I am a demon of this land. He raped the girl, then beat her hard and threw her body down the well. Into this deed he put his heart and missed the moment when night fell. Okay, he looked around. The woods were dark. He couldn't even see a ground, but then he saw 2 bright red sparks and heard a howling, laughing sound. The demon comes, he realized, and almost shitted his own pants. The guy ran forward through the night toward the hut behind the fence. He reached the fence and got inside. I dare you take me, fucking moron, he cried aloud into the night, but suddenly the wave of horror made him involuntarily freeze the moment someone tapped his shoulder. He felt the weakness in his knees, the temperature around grew colder. The guy abruptly turned around. That naked girl looked straight at him. She laughed and howled as if a hound. Her eyes were red, he almost screamed. But suddenly she closed the distance, pressed her nude body to his chest, she kissed him hard, and at that instant bit off his tongue, and with distaste she spitted out, "Your blood tastes foul. I've taken now the first of those 2 organs that you used," she growled, "to pluck that innocent young rose. The other organ I'll take later, or else it may kill you too soon. I'll be your private amputator while this nightmare's lit by the moon. Another benefit I found by ripping off this tongue of yours is I will never hear a sound produced by your shrill squeaky voice. You know you'll never need these things, these stilts, as you've described my legs." She cracked all bones inside his chins, and he fell heavy on his back. My leg. Okay. Right now, I'll tell you all my bio. That is what will bring. This is what will bring. Right now, I'll tell you all my bio. This is what will bring me real joy. And not your efforts to defile my tender body. Right, cowboy? The girl crushed bones in his both hands. His open mouth produced some moans. I'm very ancient to this land. They tied me at the age of bronze. You see, I couldn't go back home because they bound me with a spell. I have the sins I should atone before I can return to hell. To clean one sin, I kill one man. I had 100,000 sins. So now, my boy, you understand. I stranded like the little prince. The funniest joke in this case, which makes me laugh for all this time, was that they limited the space where I could do my daily crimes. I can walk only on the slopes of this high mountain as a beast within the cage who'd lost its hopes to wander freely as it pleased. There were not many folks around who crossed this mountain in the night. With my restricted hunting grounds, my chances didn't look so bright. I know what bothers you, my dear. That question you have on your mind, why does such an immortal demon become a pussy in the light? It's just another curse of theirs. The curse which I'll make them regret, because to plunge me in despair, they need to do much more than that. Most of the time, I'm a defenseless and mortal girl of 21. These limitations really senseless. The being killed risk is no fun. This girl is really like a magnet for all you dirty little scum, for those who want to make her pregnant and even cause her lots of harm. This girl believes that I'm her curse and that one day I can be lifted. Sometimes I almost feel remorse for this poor thing whose mind is shifted. At least the girl walks like a bait for whom attracted by her beauty. Without her at this hiking rate, I'd never finish up my duty. Most of the ones whom I erased were perverts, rapists, and real sadists. I'd made the world a better place, now it's more suitable for ladies. It's time to grab another organ, remove it from your organism. You'll learn how it's to have a broken, malfunctioning male mechanism. Then, with her talons sharp as razors, she grabbed the thing and cut it off. The stream of blood shot like a geyser. She threw the organ in the trough. This loss of blood will never kill you before the first rays of the dawn. That's why right now I'm gonna heal you. You'll live this time without this burn. The time passed by, the demon chatted. At last she said, "This is farewell. The time has come for me. I'd better begin my journey back to hell." She stroked her claw towards his hut. Her movement was as fast as sound. The claw should rip his chest apart. Instead, the demon hit the ground. "You missed your shot." Somebody's laughed. Somebody's laugh as squeaky as some rusty hinges came from behind. "On their behalf, I'll make you never leave this region." "Hi sis, indeed long time no see," the demon answered without turning. "In several minutes I'll be free, as soon as night turns into morning." Now, big sis, let me be fair, I'm jealous of your sense of humor. It's like you're planning for a year while dying of some lethal tumor. "My sister, you as dumb as usual, since I've already won this game. This torture was just my illusion. I must confess, completely lame. I've killed this maniac neither well. You don't believe, but it's a fact. If so, why did you need by hell to play this Oscar-winning act? This way I made you put his ass inside of you out of my reach. You acted clever, but alas, the sword's a double-edged steel bitch. Inside of you, out of my reach. The sword's a double-edged steel bitch. His body is basically a bottle, made of his skin and filled within with several pins of holy water, which soon will wipe away your grin. The liquid will evaporate and melt your body from inside, so sis, you've chosen your own fate by teaming with the losing side. What are you talking? 1, 2, 3. A demon counted, and at once her foe produced a frantic scream much louder than 1,000 guns. I've just installed a bomb inside of him according to my scheme. It detonated. Now your hide is melted by the holy steam. And now I smell the demon's flesh mixed with the holy stuff. It smells like filth, decay, and ash. It makes me really want to barf. A demon walked towards the pile, which just had been her mortal foe. She knelt by it, and with a smile, she licked and gobbled up it whole. To kill a demon was no doubt extremely tricky to achieve, but if you ate a small amount of its remains, then you'd receive a power which exceeded yours 100,000 times or more. This prize was worth to bear the curse and the ideals it had in store. The demon stood back on her feet and howled, "My vengeance starts right now, as I am ready to defeat all those who didn't want to bow to mighty father. When he was the rightful emperor of hell, they overthrew the king." She paused. "They jailed the monarch very well. No one can stand against my strength or can inflict me any harm, since the attacks the best defense. Just watch me closely. Here I come. Okay, I finished reading the poem from the beginning to the end. Again, even after all this time, I like this poem because I believe there is no like water or lots of fillers in this poem. Everything is quite logical, and I tried to describe the events as full as possible, and I believe I achieved my goal. Although I encountered several grammatical mistakes while reading this poem, so I need to do this the revision of this poem as stanza or verse by verse, and then correct this and then I need to correct these mistakes, and the poem will be completely finished. But even with these mistakes, it looks quite cool, and the ending is really original, because I thought about detonating some bomb inside of this demon, which should be installed inside of the body of the maniac, but I couldn't find the right I don't know, the right idea how to what type of bomb can kill the demon, but the holy water vapor can really destroy the demon from inside, and it can't be removed because it's not a solid object, and it's not even a water, a liquid. Okay, so what else? Yeah, and I like the idea that all the stuff was eventually not for the sake of leaving the surviving through the course, lifting the course by killing the necessary amount of people, but about the grand scheme when she needed to defeat any demon, and she kind of created this plot, devised this plot that for sure her sister will come. Her sister would come when she had only one killing left, and her sister would do anything to prevent her from doing this. And it was a very clever idea how to put the holy water inside of her sister and then evaporate it, and when the demon died, she ate her remains, and he obtained this superpower. She became 100,000 times stronger, so no one in hell could stand against her, and she she returned back to avenge her father, maybe free her father from the hell, restore him on the throne, and punish all those who rebelled against her father. So I am quite satisfied with the plot itself, and I even recalled the motivation for the creating of this poem, and motivation was the following. A long time ago, when I translated my when I translated Russian and Belarusian poems into English, I walked through the mound, which is Kurgan, by Yanka Kupala, and I translated this description of the Guslar, made in very specific rhythm and what is rhythm, yeah, which is not like 8 syllables in a line, but like, I believe, let's say, pattern of 4 let's say syllables, not syllables, but 4 units. Each unit consists of 3 syllables, and the 3rd syllable is stressed. And when I translated it into English, I was so impressed that I had the inspiration, and I wrote maybe 4, maybe 5 stanzas or verses of my own poem about some creature who lives at the top of the mountain, and no one can get there, but there is white. The color of the top of the mountain is white, and people who live at the bottom of the mountain guess what this is. Like, it may be snow, it may be something, maybe pearls, like jewelry, white jewelry, or anything else, but in reality it's the pile of white skulls. So this creature lives there. It's like kind of mermaid, and then she turns into a woman. She crawls through the some passage through which only she can pass. Then, as a woman, she walks on the slopes of this mountain, and when she meets some guy, she killed him who likes her. They kind of date for some time. He returns, they walk, and then she kills him, and she uses his skull to create this collection of these white skulls. And this was when I thought about something like why she collected the skulls. She was cursed just for the sake of collecting. Yeah, and it was a long time ago. Maybe it was even in September or even in August. And since then, I left it behind. I continued my translations, but then in October I wrote lots of poems, and in November I wrote this demon poem, which used the inspiration from this, my first ever poem, but it was written in this standard Pushkin's style, like 4 syllables, and every second syllable is stressed. And the way I wrote all my other poems, and the Red Riding Hood as well. The thing is that Red Riding Hood has the rhyme like 1, 1, 2, 2, but this poem is already made with the best possible rhyming, like 1, 3, 2, 4. And I was able to achieve this only after writing after having written lots of poems, like about 1,000 lines of poems in the style 1-1, in the rhyme 1-1-2-2. Anyway, so this is my poem. It's kind of 18 plus, but I like it anyway because of the originality of this story. Okay, and I have some other ideas what to talk about. I didn't read much of encyclopedias right now, as I did before in the beginning when I tried to get the vocabulary. Now I struggle through the Navigate and through the picture dictionaries of word and word, word for word. I can't really say much about this stuff, it's just the collection of the words, so it's not for talking about it, but at least I listen to some words for the first time. Of course, I read them along the way, but along the listening to the audio, but at least I hear them for the first time in my life, for some of them. And the only thing which is more like some plot, the progression forward, the plot is this TTC great teaching courses, where I struggled through the basics of the algebra, where the American professor taught the students to do the basics of algebra, which we could do in the 5th grade. And that's very strange, but at least I meet this vocabulary in English, which I tried to find, but now I hear it all the time. Like the fractions, it's like 1/5 or 7/10, or it was like the power over something, like x to the 5th, x squared, y cubed, or x to the power of 6, or y to the 5th. Also, I have this standard stuff like 5 multiplied by x, or 5 times x, 5 divided by 3, or 5 over 3. And another thing like 5x plus -2, for example. Not x plus or x minus -2, but x minus -2, or the fraction -1 and 3/5, and other stuff. And of course, I listened to this Cartesian coordinates with abscissor axis and ordinate axis, and both is axis, and well, actually in these coordinates the professor taught how to draw a line through a simple line using this linear, the function of the linear function when y equals the a coefficient times a times x plus b. And yeah, he talked a lot about how to draw this and how to get the interception intercepts with the x-axis and y-axis. And I am even going to check very quickly what this axis thing. When we say axis is for the, okay, I see, axis for one axis, like x-axis and y-axis, abscissa and an ordinate, but axes when we talk about the plural form.
Axes.
But axis when we talk about the single form.
Axis.
Next, what we have next? Also, I continued with listening to the history of English. Well, I discovered this course somewhere, maybe in 2018, maybe 2019, but I failed with it because I stopped somewhere at the Chaucer time. I was not very interested in it, and it's not very interesting for me right now. So I kind of struggle with it. The same way I failed to listen to the Chinese history because they have lots of proper names in Chinese and I don't need to know them, especially from the period of time before the 20th century. And well, I failed with the architecture when the guy talked about the different forms, like to build bridges and other stuff. Well, now this course doesn't exist anymore, but I don't feel like I lost much by skipping these architectural lectures, because when I walked through investments, for example, I learned some vocabulary, but I never used it in my life. So it's like, well, it's like watching anime, but without any interest in it. Anyway, finally, I went to the moment which can be quite interesting for me in this history of the English language, because somewhere in the 16th century, in the beginning, maybe in the middle, there was the great vowel shift happened, and the professor finally explained that all these Latin letters which came from French and from Latin itself, and which were pronounced the normal way, like R, E, E, O, U, they shifted towards the modern pronunciation, like R became A, R, A, O became O, E became I, U became U, and what else? E became E. And well, actually I stopped somewhere in the middle of this lecture for now. I'm going to listen to it later, to finish it later, but at least I can relate with this problem, because I went through French, through Spanish, and in Spanish I read the way I see the letter, like A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. E, F, and so on. Okay. I think this is all about some stories that I got through reading, some popular information. Now I'm going towards the story of beta testers. It will be quite fast, I think, because, well, I'm tired of talking and I'm going to to finish this in 15 minutes. So I think I'll skip all the dialogues, and this story itself is more descriptible than the dialogue oriented. So what? Okay. How this story works? Banzai, as a dwarf, he got the different items like armor or weapon from the customers who sold them, or from Mahmoud, who was a dwarf as well, who brought this to Banzai. Then Banzai, as other dwarfs, disassembled all this stuff and get the magical crystals which were used for the creation of these items. Now they're inside, but if you disassemble them, these items, then you get back these crystals, and then these crystals could be used for creating other items, or for using them for magic casting, like Xenobite used the magic crystals for his staff to power his spells, like Black Inferno of the 9th level. Anyway, Banzai, there were gossips that there were some recipes which allowed their owners to create these crystals like from the empty air, or by using some ore and other resources, but not through the disassembling of these items. Like there were two ways to create a crystal. First, you get the crystal which is assembled into the item, but it's like a used crystal, but it's okay. Or you can create a crystal on your own from some other materials. And to do this, you needed to have a special recipe which will give you the power to create the crystals. And Xenobite calculated that the game, the Epoch of Chimeras, had about 10 multi-millionaire Okay, 10 multimillionaires who obviously had lots of money, and Xenobite decided that those people could become so rich only if they had these recipes. So he again calculated that there were about 10 recipes in the whole game, so it was possible that from time to time a new recipe could appear in the game. And Melissa, the next recipe of the magical crystals appeared on the how this place is called in Russian, I'm not sure, like how it is called. Maybe it's a barbaric continent. It doesn't matter. The continent where they had no state, no economy. They just fought there. They had maybe some tribes, and they fought against each other, kill each one, and it was alright, because this particular continent, Black Continent, it was like the endless quest which the administration of the server used as a nature quest. So this recipe appeared in this continent, on this continent, and so some guy just got this recipe. He understood the value of this stuff, and he decided to follow the particular plan. He found the customer who wanted to purchase this recipe. Then they had a meeting on the continent, and of course there was an ambush, and the customer with his money was killed, and the owner of the recipe could find another customer and to get his money this way. And at some point Melissa discovered this scheme, and Banzai arranged the meeting with this owner of the recipe to get it for 50 million pesettes or something. So they met on the Black Continent near some particular necropolis, and when they exchanged the money, the native of this continent, he started his plan. He triggered the ambush, but the beta testers were prepared, and they successfully fought against the ambush. And so first they threw the recipe into the scroll. They threw the scroll into the air, and Xenobite, who was flying in the air, like soaring in the air in the form of the bat, he caught this recipe scroll and flew away, but 4 black dragons were activated, and they hit Xenobite, and he fell into the jungle, and the natives surrounded him. He casted several of his black infernos, but in the end they killed the vampire with the Nosferatu with his spears, but didn't found the scroll with him. So they went on. They followed another trail. I think Banzai, Melissa. Okay. Banzai. I don't really remember how they managed to do this. Yeah, okay. Through the catacombs to dwarfs, Banzai and Mahmoud, they went into the only city of the Black Continent, and then they disappeared into the woods, and the pursuers followed them. And when Melissa came through the sewers into this city, they put the money into the bank, into the local bank. But and she followed Xenobite, who respawned somewhere nearby. Anyway, all well, the author wrote this sequence of events very cool, so I can't even reproduce it on my own. Anyway, the idea that all the beta testers took part in this meeting between the natives and them, and in the end they got their own money plus the scroll. And they created some noise through the whole continent, and when the natives couldn't when the natives caught some of them but didn't found the scroll, they just blocked the portal which led to the Burgundia, to the main continent, where was beta testers city Burgundia. But because the beta testers didn't attack this portal, the natives understood that they failed somewhere, and they discovered that the beta testers just sailed on the boat from the shores of this black continent towards the main continent of this game. The natives enabled their own fleet, which pursued the beta testers' boat, and finally they reached them. And at that moment, the boat with the beta testers exploded, and the 7 ships of the natives who surrounded the beta testers' boat were destroyed as well, were blasted as well. And the beta testers just revived on their own continent, and then they gathered in the Banzai's what is it? Not the office, but magical shop. And they waited for Vnuchka, who was their surprise agent. And when Cenobite got the scroll, he just dropped it into the arms of Vnuchka, and Vnuchka used different potions of invisibility, and she crossed the continent to in the direction which was opposite of the pursuit which was performed by the natives towards after the beta testers. So she reached the south of the continent, of the black continent. There she got on the ship, then on some island, and from that island she traveled back to the main continent, and then she jumped from the border of her continent to the main area through the portal, and she needed to perform only one jump when she mistaken the location, and she got into some area with the monsters, and she was killed there, and she dropped the scroll as she was killed. And when he came to the Banzai's office and told about all this, all the beta testers were very upset because they failed the mission of retrieving this scroll, and Banzai was upset because they spent 4 million pesets and didn't get the scroll. And then Machmed suggested to check all the possible locations in that portal. Find this cave with the mobs, with the monsters, and just kill them and get back the scroll, because if they were able to got the scroll from the players on the Black Continent, it wasn't a problem for them to get the scroll from the computer monsters. So they checked all the portals and all the locations. Finally, Vnuchka recognized the necessary location. They all get into this location. They tried. Well, there was no monsters because Vnuchka drew them somewhere deep, and there they killed her. And they tried to find the trail of Vnuchka, but they failed. And then Xenobite brought his red dragon, Commissar, and Commissar got the trail, got Vnuchka's trail, and he followed her trail. And the beta testers just killed all the monsters on the way, and finally they reached some cave which was filled with lots of monsters. So it was the evidence that at least Vnuchka drew all of them here. So the beta testers spent some time killing all these monsters, and then they saw this scroll, and it was inside of the mouth of some monkey statue which was built in the wall of this cave, the last cave. Banzai rushed forward to reach this scroll, but the monkey's face became alive, and it closed its mouth and started to chew Banzai, and then spit him away. He had very strong defense because he was a dwarf. That's why he survived. When Xenobite tried to turn into a bat and fly into this the mouth of this monkey, again the mouth shut, and the monkey started to chew Xenobite, so he exploded one of his bombs, and the mouth opened. He said that if the mouth continued to chew him, then if the mouth had continued to chew him, then he would have exploded, and it will be more powerful explosion than at the far далекий бамбуки location. Okay. And then Xenobite's dragon followed the cave rat, into the mouth of another monkey, and nothing happened because the monkey didn't react to the computer character. So they used they made Commissar to fetch the scroll from the monkey's mouth. Yeah, and they successfully completed the mission, and in the end, Banzai was very happy, and he asked Xenobite what type of special treatment, special food Commissar liked, and Xenobite answered that you love Banzai, but Commissar likes to eat the magical crystals of the 10th level, which were the crystals produced by this very recipe. So, okay, I successfully retold the story, and I retold it quite alright, because I don't remember much of the details, and some of the details are not very interesting. So, for today I finished my particular mission, and I'm going to stop my recording right now. So, this is the end of my video 96, and with that I have only 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 videos or 4 weeks to reach my goal of 100 videos on YouTube talking to myself. So with this, that's all for today.